And then I cut that like a minute too early, didn't I there? Whoops. Hey guys, it is Sunday, and you know what that means? It's time for the Snark Lounge. Guys, I got a great panel of guests for you, but before we get to that, someone just said, oh no, in the private chat. That can't be good. It can't be good at all. Some of you may have noticed that I have a new logo. Yep, I actually got a new logo going on. I'm kind of digging it. It's kind of snarky because it says snarky. There it is. But guys, tonight we're going to be talking about teaching in China. I guess that was going to be part 2 because we kind of talked that before. We never really kind of got in the groove. So fortunately, I've got some great teachers. And of course, let's get right to our guest. First and foremost, I want to welcome back to the stream. It's been too long. my better half. It's Bunny.
Hello.
Hi. So where are you? Where are you tonight?
I'm in the hotel to start my 14 days quarantine in Shanghai.
She's back in Shanghai, but I still can't see her because she is in quarantine.
I call you every day. You say you cannot see me. Where's your eyes from?
So I need to do like, some Mission Impossible thing, where I crawl through a gutter and pop out of the ceiling and drop down on a wire, and no, that's not going to work. But
then okay.
There we go. So, hey, SnarkyGuy's in the house. Stria's like, yay. So I also want to welcome the man, the myth, the legend. You know him. You love him. It's Austin.
Yo, what up? What up? I'm trying to get everything set up. I am moving as close as possible to my router because my internet is no good.
Yeah, my internet usually. You go first, Money. What was that?
So I thought Austin was trying to cover his guitar, so I'm moving.
I'm trying to make it a little nicer. I'm trying to make it a little nicer in this shot. So
there we go.
We'll get there. There we go. That's
all right. It looks pretty good. Yeah, it's always Sunday night that my internet decides it's going to suck donkey balls. So, fortunately, I reset the computer, reset the router, and knock, knock. We're hoping everything works out good. Speaking of work out good, let's get the man Rojo in, and he's got a guitar too.
Oh,
hey! Guitar players unite! All right.
Nice. I think your microphone's muted there, buddy.
Or did you mute him?
I don't think I muted him. It says, can't unmute your guest. Their mic is not connected. So, Rojo, if you can hear it, it says your mic is not connected.
Stream's off to a great start.
We are getting it off to a great start, yes. As always, it wouldn't be, we always have some sort of internet kerfuffle. These things happen. So, definitely. So, there we go. Guitar battle. I like the way this is. I like the way this is looking. So,
I'm thinking. I heard that Rojo is also that he does a news live stream on Sunday mornings, and I was thinking about doing one as well. And when I heard that, like maybe we could work on one other, and maybe we could do the guitar battle on one of those streams.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, and we're still doing pantomime from Paul right now. Paul is still doing pantomime.
Yeah, I see his mic is muted, yeah.
I tried to unmute it for him, and it said that I could not unmute the guest because he's...
Hey, there we go. There we go.
He can talk. It's a miracle. Yay. Well, awesome. Okay. Right. We are all here. That's a good thing. Guys, I want to welcome you to the panel. Before we get started, I definitely want to ask you guys to just give a quick intro of yourself. Tell us a little about your channel and what you do here in China. I want to start, of course, with Austin.
All right. What's up, everybody? My name is Austin. I live in Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan province. And I teach at Sichuan University. I teach spoken English, though I've worked at a variety of universities in different areas of China. That's me.
That's you. Awesome. So, of course, it looks like we've got our next member of our panel here has joined us impromptu. Skittles just decided that he just can't bear to be out of the picture, so he just literally jumped on me here. Skittles, would you like to add anything? No, don't lick me. I don't want licked. So, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself, your channel, and what you do here in China, my friend.
Well, I'm also a teacher. I also work at a university in Zhongshan, China, which is part of the Pearl River Delta in Guangdong. I've been an English teacher for half a decade now here in China, and I've taught at universities. I've taught privately. I've taught in the corporate world, and I've also taught in training centers. So just like Austin, I got a lot of varying experience as well. My channel is not just about ESL, but also about hiking and hotel reviews and things like that, and travel in general. So.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, Bunny, everybody's missed you sorely from the channel. She still has not yet gotten her YouTube going yet, but tell us what's new with you lately.
Yeah, I just arrived in Shanghai yesterday, so now I start my 14-day quarantine in the hotel. So this week and next week, you will see me stay in a hotel. This is really obvious, like hotel settings.
For those who are not familiar with China quarantine procedures, tell us why you have to be in a hotel, even though you obviously don't have the COVID.
Here's the thing: it's like everyone, like outside China, when you enter China, you have to do a 14-day quarantine. Shanghai has 3 policies. One is a home quarantine, provided that you are actually like elderly, you have kids with you, but then when you quarantine at home, you must be like all the people at that home have to be stay for 14 days quarantine. The second option is 7+7, means the first 7 days stay at hotel, and then the next 7 days you can apply for homestay, but the homestay policy is still the same. Either all the people in the apartment you have to do the 7-day quarantine. The third option is that you do the quarantine at hotel for 14 days. And all the hotel, like I say, you have to pay for your own food, pay for the hotel fee, pay for the for the food. Basically, you can only enter the hotel once, the room once, because the access key only allow you to enter once. And then people will deliver the food like 3 times a day at the door outside the room. So when it's the time we go get the room, get the food, and basically no one will enter your room, no one will do the cleaning. So we'll take care of the hotel just like you take care of the apartment. Otherwise, that is the place you stay for 14 days.
There we go. So awesome. Well, and of course, you guys know I am still here. I got a couple of new videos coming out. I'm SnarkyGuy. You may have noticed if you're on my channel. Today, however, I want to jump right into the conversation. We're talking about teaching in China. Now, hello. Would you like to join us? Yep, Skittles just cannot bear to be away. He's like a dog. He just wants to be on me like all the time. But yeah,
I'm
it seems
a big
like
fan of Skittles. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Skittles. I agree with the idea of Skittles getting more airtime.
Now Austin has actually met Skittles. They spent some quality, intimate time together.
Yeah.
So they got to
That's why I'm a fan.
together on the sofa. So bros. So I strongly suspect my cat speaks Chinese, though. There you go.
Yep.
So
there it is. Yeah.
There it is. So, but yeah, it seems like everywhere we go in China, every time you meet a foreigner, they're teaching English. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about that. I want to kick this off by asking, what makes a good teacher, or what makes a bad teacher? Paul, can you kick this off for us? Cat. Hello. He just jumped right in my. Ow.
Sorry, you always give me the hardest question straight out of the bat, and because that is not an easy question to answer.
It really isn't, but that's the thing. If it was an easy question, well.
Okay, well, I guess there's different types of teachers. Obviously, we're all English teachers, and you asked the question, why are there so many English teachers in China? Well, it's because there's a huge demand for it, especially native English teachers. Coming here, when you get a Z visa, you have to get a foreign expert certificate. So basically, it's the Chinese government's way of ensuring that there's enough jobs for the local population. They cannot have a that's why most foreigners in China are English.
Are we back? What happened? Where did we go? No. Are we back?
We are back.
Yes.
What
Right.
happened?
I
That
don't know.
It's a great question.
I don't know. All I know is we were talking, and all of a sudden, complete shutdown.
Yeah, but now
So-
it's much smoother.
I don't know about you guys, but I decided to start drinking.
Decided to start drinking. Pass some of that over. Pass some of that over. All right. Well, guys, I have no idea where we're. I think Rojo was telling us about teaching in China or something like that.
I just mentioned you asked me what makes a good teacher, and I said, well, there's so
Yeah.
many different things that make a good teacher. But I think the number one thing is having a passion for it. I mean, you're not going to get rich doing it. Some people might even give you a little crap for doing it, but it's you feel it in your gut that it's a good thing, then you're going to be a good teacher, because if you love what you do, that's obvious. It passes on to your students. So I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
True story. So I liked it. Jamaica Funk was talking about Purple Rain. It was always playing in my head.
Yeah, it is. Mine too.
For those of you who don't know, I had the opportunity to hang out with Jamaica Funk last couple days here in Shanghai, and he's a pretty cool dude. Pretty cool. But let's move on. Austin, what do you think makes a good teacher? What makes a bad teacher?
I didn't hear Paul's answer, unfortunately, but the thing that makes a good teacher, at least in my opinion, is someone who is patient, someone who's empathetic, someone who actually takes the time to listen to the students and not just like a lot of teachers just make a plan and they just stick with their plan and they don't actually listen to what the students are saying, mistakes that are being made or points that are being raised. So a teacher that listens, and a teacher who actually puts in the time to think about, like just a teacher who actually cares and takes time to plan out their entire lesson and takes time to anticipate problems before they happen, anticipate questions before they happen, so that they can more likely answer a student's question when it comes up, not just come up with answers on the fly. So all those things.
True story. I definitely want to second that. I think sometimes too many teachers, they have their their plans down on paper, and when you get in the classroom, it's just kind of whole Lao Tzu thing. No plan survives contact with the enemy, and you have to be flexible and just kind of roll with what's happening. Too many times I've gotten in the classroom and I've had a great idea on how things are going to go, and it's just taking that hard left and gone from there. So Rojo's taking selfies.
I gotta prove to people that I'm actually doing something right now.
So we can always just take a screenshot of the screen, right?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, dude.
I'll talk to you after.
There we go. So definitely. Well, I want to ask, what do you got, Bunny? I want to get some input on here. I know you don't teach English, except when you teach me. What do you think makes for a good teacher, and what makes for a bad teacher?
Okay. I would say from as a student perspective, because in Asia, especially in Hong Kong and China, people will only teachers only take repeating the content from the book. Basically, just I'm not saying all, but some of them, just are readable books. So it's difficult actually for us, especially when I was in junior school. I read all my textbook is English. So it's actually, can you expect a 15 to 17-year-old students that read a full textbook that expect to be a native speaker to read it? We don't understand it, but then the teachers just repeat the content. So how can we expect to understand and interpret the content? So but if we actually can meet a teacher who really can actually teach us, not the things not the English on the word written on the board, but really teach us the concept, the theory, the understanding, the meanings behind that. This is what I expect is really a good teacher. because I really want to go in and learn the things, not going to just get someone to read the English for us.
There we go. Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. So, guys, I mean, I know everyone here is an English people, but English speaker, English teacher.
Wow.
I can't talk today, apparently. But specifically, what do you teach? Do you teach ESL, native speakers, classic literature? Do you teach like persuasive speaking, debate speaking? What do you teach? So, Austin.
So I think like a lot of foreign teachers in China, I've taught kind of a whole range of things. I've taught just all the ESL skills from speaking, listening, reading, writing. I've taught all of those. I've taught culture classes. I've taught debate classes. I've taught rhetoric and composition. I've taught world history. Now my job at Sichuan University is just teaching oral English. So conversations, spoken English.
Okay, there we go. So, Paul, same question.
Well, I started off at a training center teaching general English, oral English, and I've moved on from that. I've done corporate work for bosses and people in foreign trade. And that was really, really great. There's a lot of business English, a lot of accounting English. I got to actually use my master's and stuff like that. And it was more than just English. It was actually like teaching business strategy and stuff. So I really, really loved that. Here at the university, just like Austin, I'm an oral English lecturer. And my classes are 100 to 200 students. And if you're familiar with that crazy English guy, it's I'm that guy now. So it's a lot of choral. It's a lot of choral drilling. They're not English majors at the university here that I teach. It's all general English. And Austin, you talked about in your last video about how they range in their abilities. Some don't know any English, some are almost native. And the real challenge for that is because you almost have to teach to the lowest common denominator, otherwise they're not going to get it. But then you also have to make it interesting and also challenging enough for those good students. And in a mixed class with mixed majors, that is the biggest challenge, is coming up with these lesson plans and these programs so that you encompass all the students in all the classes. It's not easy. It's a lot more work than most people think it is.
There we go.
That's right. You got to find lessons that are like universal that can be kind of grabbed onto by everyone. Not like these dummies who do like lessons about like sports or like art or things like that. Like half the people in the room don't even care about sports. Most people don't probably care about art. It's not useful. And then, lessons that can be differentiated, having different activities for different levels, or like telling higher levels to focus on this skill, lower levels to focus on this skill. Like it's a tough balancing act. So it really is. Being a teacher is it can be easy. It's easy to be a mediocre teacher, but if you want to be good, if you actually care, it's tough, man. It's really tough.
There we go. Yeah. Got a couple of super chats I need to get to real quick. Straya says, what about, he says for Bunny, it's a question for Bunny. If you transfer to another city, do you need to quarantine again?
If you say the city, actually, it's within the border. You don't. But then what I understand is that most of the people, they will do their home quarantine for like a volunteer, just like for kind of a precautions. Even the government doesn't need it to do it, but then people just stay. Like my colleague will choose to stay at home for 14 days if they actually travel back from another city. So it's more like volunteer. Volunteer.
And they are treating Hong Kong as a separate country as far as that's concerned, right?
No, they actually use the border as the principle to separate things. So Taiwan, Macau, and Hong Kong, they're outside the border. You have a custom. So that is they consider it's outside the border. Then you have to do the 14-day quarantines. Except for Macau.
Very smoothly said. Dr. Death also says, have you ever taught a lesson you don't agree with, or possibly something where the curriculum went wrong? If so, how do you deal with that? That's a great question right there. Who wants to jump on that grenade?
I mean, I'll jump on that. So I think it depends it depends all on the institution that you work at. But I think generally speaking, when you're given a curriculum at a let's say a public institution, so a public kindergarten, primary school, middle school, high school, university, you're given a book, and then the school says, feel free to use this book. If you don't want to, you can use your own materials, but just stick with the topic of this particular unit. Or they'll say, just do whatever you want. Like my university, they give us the book and they say, you can use this if you want to, but like, we don't care. Teach whatever you want. So I don't, and that's pretty much been the case with most places that I've worked at. But the one place I did have a very strict curriculum, I was not teaching English, and they used foreign, like American published textbooks. So I didn't have that problem.
Yep. Rojo, have you ever run into that before?
Never. No. That's I've pretty much been on my own to teach my own lessons. When I did have a curriculum, obviously that they're pre-approved. But yeah, just like Austin says, you are given an awful lot of freedom to move beyond the book to in the classroom itself. If you are set to a curriculum where for 7 minutes you do this, for 11 minutes you do that, that's taking the teaching out of the classroom. So to be a teacher, you really have to adapt to the lesson as it's going along, to the students' needs. So I've never been put in a position where I'm teaching something that I disagree with. But at the same time, I've never been put in a situation where I'm teaching something that other people disagree with. I mean, so it's really not an issue here.
Well, that's the one thing I find is, when you're teaching English, you use different things as a vehicle to teaching English. You may have, short videos, short things on the screen. And, I know you guys are primarily on the university level. I do the middle school guys. And so, my classes are, 2 parts teaching, 1 part cabaret. I do classic literature. And so we kind of dance around the subjects. And I don't find we really have a lot of issues with things I don't agree with. Some topics that I'm given, for example, I have a unit on the outsiders right now. If anyone's familiar with that classic, 1950 or it was 1983 was it? But it was set in the 50s. Actually shot in Tulsa, Oklahoma, actually. So there's some parts in there that I have to kind of fast forward with the kids. I don't want to talk a whole lot about, smoking, and, don't want to talk a lot about, getting in fights with knives and stuff. But the literature is good. So there we have it. So, yeah. I want to ask, what is your average class size? I know, Paul, you said your average class size was about 200?
No, they're average about 100, but they range anywhere from to 75, 80 to, I think this year I'll have well over 200 students per class. Okay.
So what is your percentage of boys and girls in that size class?
Well, the university I'm at is a polytechnic school. So the student body itself is, it's a lot of guys. But there are majors that are predominantly female, and that's mostly accounting, foreign trade. And they actually are the better students, to be honest. So the engineering students aren't really into it, but I'll have classes where it's 90% women. And then in the afternoon, it'll be all dudes. So and then there will be other ones that are mix and match.
So how do you find the same material relates to the boys and girls? You said you thought the girls were better students?
I do. So again, it goes back to trying to find topics and make your curriculum so that it's balanced for everyone. And that's always been the challenge for me since I got here. And I remember my first year, I worked a ton, and every class I would go back to my office and tweak it a little bit because certain things worked and other things didn't work. And I also have variations of the lesson plans for not only, this class I think is a higher level, so I'm going to give them a little bit more difficult vocabulary. Whereas this other one might be all boys, so I'm going to talk about cars and sports, and the girls are going to talk about shopping and clothes. So it's, you know, it's also part of teaching them what they want to learn. If they don't want to learn about sports and clothes, then they're not going to pay attention. They're just going to be playing on their phone the whole time. Yeah,
it's true. True story. So, Austin, how do you? What kind of size classes do you have there?
I have. So I don't teach anything like as big as Paul does. My classes are usually one major, so it'll be a class of engineering majors, a class of nuclear physics majors, a class of English majors, a class of whatever, and those can range from anything between, like, my smallest class this semester is 14. My biggest class this semester is 45. But the biggest class I've ever taught was like almost 80. So
wow,
yeah, it's all over the place.
Okay. Do you find that the material can change a little bit when you're teaching boys or girls, or is it pretty much the same for in the major?
No, I don't change my materials based on girls or guys. I do the just stuff that's universally applicable. But
yeah,
if there is a particular major that has a lower level, so like at Sichuan University, it's always the art students. So anything related to art, so painting, dance, performance, theater, things like that, they're super basic. So yeah, sometimes you do have to just break out completely different lessons.
Yeah.
Like starting, grassroots ESL kind of thing. It's it can get tough.
Yeah. So Bunny, when you were in university, how many students were in your classes?
Okay, my major was a computer science, so we have about 100 students. But in the university, you have tutorial class, we have actually lecture. So lecture is most of the student classmates go together. The lecture was the tutorial will split the classes into like around 20. And then also, like, for the major, not just your classmate, people from other subject, other major will come to join as well. So in the lecture hall, it can be over 100 people together. And the percentage depends. On my year, it's about 30% of ladies.
Okay.
70% of them are the guys. But on my senior class, 1 year older, they have a percentage of 7 ladies, but then 93 guys. It was computer science,
There you go. Well,
yeah,
I know.
So I like the questions that are coming up in the chat. Like there's ones like, when teaching English to students, do you employ sarcasm? Do you teach them sarcasm? There's one, can foreigners open up a training school? Things like these are good.
So talk about some of those there. How do you employ sarcasm?
I don't.
I don't.
I don't do it.
Yeah, I don't either. No. you generally it causes way too much confusion in the class.
Now you see, right. I'm gonna answer this, but I'm gonna take about a half step back here. My classes, someone said their smallest class is 14. My biggest class is 14.
Right.
I normally have a class between 9 and 14. And this is a classic literature class. So we start off with literary terms, alliteration, motif. Sarcasm is one of these. We definitely do teach because we're going to be using this to evaluate different, bodies of literature and how they pertain. When we write essays, we can do some compare and contrast, reflective, analytical essays.
Teaching a lot of Voltaire, are you?
No, actually, one of the books we're doing this year is called Star Girl. It's about a girl who's a little bit different with her pet rat, which plays very well for the boys and girls. The boys love the story because it talks about the girl, and the girls can relate to the pet rat somehow, and it's it's interesting.
That is interesting.
We do some classic John Steinbeck, The Pearl. We're doing we're even doing a little bit of Shakespeare. I have a poetry portfolio we're doing where we are writing poetry inspired by classic pieces of literature. And so these literary terms really do come in handy. We start those out usually in grade 6. So, but there was some other questions. Someone asked here, can a foreigner open a trading school? Who wants to talk about this one? Bunny?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not familiar with the policy. Like, you open a school, just mean you have to register business. Whether, I think the question is, can a school only run by foreigner or only owned by foreigners?
Yeah, I think you have to partner. You have to partner with the Chinese. Yeah.
So someone mentioned that earlier. It says you need to use someone's Chinese teaching license, which they have held for 5 years.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
so,
you have to partner with a local.
There we go. So Star Girl and her pet rat. Excellent. Someone knows that one. Awesome. So, but so what do you think is the challenges associated here with teaching some of these classes? Paul, talk to us about some of your challenges.
I think I already talked about my biggest challenges was just trying to find the topics and then extrapolating a full lesson plan, a topic that keeps the students engaged. My teaching hours are 45 minutes per class, and then you put them back to back. So 90-minute total lesson plan. And
I see.
90 minutes is a long time for an English class, especially an oral English class. When many of the students, that English is not their major, it's compulsory. They have to be there. So keeping them engaged, entertained, and also trying to give them some value for their time that's being there. That seems to be the biggest challenge for me here at the university. When I first started, when you had these large classes, you'd have, 5 guys sitting in the back, falling asleep, doing their homework and for another class, or even playing video games. I saw one guy watching porn in the back, So it's incredible what they do. They'll lie down and stuff. And I would get very frustrated with that and call them out and stop my class. And I have had to learn to pick my battles, and those 5 students, that's the big thing, is you're going to have to focus on the students that are working or trying hard. Maybe if they do get to their phone and they start chatting a little bit, re-engage them. But you're always going to have a certain percentage of the students that just don't give a flying, And those students, you have to, I hate to say it, but you can't let them ruin the class for everybody else. And I still struggle with that in my classroom, is turning that switch off.
Yeah. So, also, what do you say some of your challenges are?
Well, I mean, luckily, I don't have a lot of discipline problems. That's a good thing, because
that is good.
It does depend on the place that you work at, because I work at Sichuan Uni is the top 15 uni in China. It's like top of the it's like an Ivy League equivalent school here in China. So my students tend to be very, very motivated. So I don't generally have that problem. My problem is it's always time management, because some of my classes are 45 minutes, just 45 minutes once a week.
Yeah.
So that's a really short amount of time for one English class for non-English majors. So, having to get a lesson where you've got, a lead in, a warming activity, feedback, and then, if you do a PPP lesson, you present new stuff, have them practice it, have them produce, and then feedback at the end of it's so hard to balance that time. But this semester I have honor students, which are 90-minute classes, and it's just so easy. 90-minute classes are so easy because you just let them talk. Just let them talk, and you listen and you give feedback. So for me, it's always just time management is the hard part.
That's the easier thing for you to do, though. Yeah, that's much easier for you to do, Austin, because you have smaller classes. You can put them into groups and you can monitor them from a distance.
That's right.
I'm a showman. I have a microphone, and I'm I'm not singing and dancing, but I might as well be. I have this one lesson that I play a game show host, and I do Price is Right. It's a lesson about numbers, numerics, and alphanumeric type stuff. And half the class, I'm the game show host, and hopefully they get some. It's a very engaging class, but I can't put them into groups. And then because they're not gonna speak English, they're gonna speak in Chinese, and they're gonna gossip, and they're not gonna get anything out of that. So I have to focus all on choral drilling is pretty much all I have. And then my feedback, my listening is them in a choral coming back to me. So my pronunciation is not individual. It is on a class basis. It's not easy. It's really difficult.
There you go.
It's like two totally different jobs. It's two completely different jobs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Paul, when you say The Price is Right, is that Drew Carey or Bob Barker?
Bob Barker, of course. Good Lord.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna have to push you off. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. Yes, please spay neuter your pet. At the
Drew
end of this class.
Carey, come on.
Come on. Yes. Well, I have to say though, as far as mine, the biggest challenge I have in my classes is this bad boy right here.
Yes.
This bad boy. Because
technically
speaking, my students are not allowed to have phones. So they collect them at the beginning of the day. But funny thing, they have a decoy phone. They have a decoy that they give, their home teacher, and later they pull it out. They're surfing all over the place. I mean, sometimes they're even surfing the naughty pics, and I'm like, guys, you're on the school Wi-Fi. They know what you're doing. Come on, you geniuses. You Shakespeare wannabe. But and of course I occasionally, being, middle schoolers, I've had some issues this semester with some drawings on my desk of, let's just say, rocket ship.
I heard that you say that last time.
Yeah.
And
it was like bushes and berries kinds of things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Jordan, true story. Yeah, you know who did it too, don't you, Jordan? You know who did it. Fess up. He knows. So that was one of my 8th graders right there. So rocket ship.
Oh.
So in any case, moving on. There's some difficulties, but I want to talk about your typical lessons. Austin, walk me through your typical lessons. What's it like, man?
Typical lesson.
Yeah, difficult question, isn't it?
Well, So there's no typical lesson because you have to think about, like, at what point in the semester are you in? Like, what are the levels of the students? What's your target? So it's either going to be like a PPP, present, practice, produce lesson.
Okay.
Just present something new to them, a new type of language, have them practice it, and then have them use it in an activity later.
Yeah.
Or you have like a task-based learning lesson where, like, one that I've done is I say, design your dream vacation to a country overseas, and they go on the internet and they figure out where to go, they budget it, they create an itinerary, they do all this. So that's one. I have my curriculum pulled up actually. Let me see. My one next week is about small talk. So they have one about complaining that I just made a video about, actually. Descriptions, presentations, unpopular opinions, telling a story, relaying an anecdote, describing a book, movie, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's hard to describe a typical lesson. It's a hard question.
That is a hard question. But I find you were saying that you have an issue, or that's an issue, but you can kind of do a little hands-on, whereas, Paul is standing in the front of the classroom pulling rabbits out of hats. So
yeah,
it feels like sometimes.
Yeah,
it is a little tough, but I'll speak to it differently, though. I mean, I also have worked in the training centers and privately in the corporate world. In the corporate world, it's very more focused on what the student needs. So you do an evaluation, and if their pronunciation is what they need, if their writing is what they need, then you focus on that. But going back to what Austin is, the typical class setting, I would say, would be input, then controlled practice, like gap fill, things like this. And then you do less monitored practice where they interact using the information that they were given, free practice, I think they call it. And then review. But one of the things I always do in my class is idiomatic language, because I love idioms. I think it's very important. And in English classes, whether it be training center or at a university, they teach general English. But the students often come and say, they show me a clip from a movie, or, they reading a book. They say, what do they mean by this? And I said, well, that's very idiomatic. And they said, what does that mean? So I always end my class with 2 or 3 idiomatic phrases based on the topic. And that's a great way to end the class, because it's interesting. It's fun. The students really enjoy it. And I think they get a very good understanding of the etymology of these idioms, where they come from. And so it also teaches them popular culture. And so when they go back and they watch TV and movies, they can have a better understanding of this. One thing I want to do, though, is when you watch PG-13 movies or rated R movies, there's an awful lot of sexual innuendo and dirty idiomatic language that they have no idea what it means. And they're always coming to me with these dirty phrases, and I struggle trying to explain what it is. So I almost want to do
phrases.
That too, all kinds of things. Especially Western humor is based around this, right? So what I want to do is maybe do like an English corner where adults can come, they sign a waiver saying, look, we're going to talk about sex, we're going to use dirty language, we're going to get very, very graphic, and then I'll teach them some of this more interesting stuff. I don't know if that would fly in China if they let me do that, but there definitely is a demand for that.
Sometimes I have to get into those as well. Got a couple of questions I want to get to here today. Straya says, do you have any children with special needs or children with disabilities? Also, may I ask, do you guys have qualifications working with vulnerable people? Only you feel comfortable to say. Anybody want to jump on that?
I mean, I taught a really supremely autistic kid when I was at a training center, but at the unis I don't see a lot of like special needs stuff, so I don't have any of those qualifications. I have like a TESOL and a CELTA and a TKT and all those kind of things, but I've never heard of that WWWVP. Don't have that.
So, Rojo, do you ever teach children with special needs or disabilities?
No, I haven't, but I get this question a lot, especially from teachers who want to come here. It's not really a thing in China. It seems to be, it's not identified as much. I have, at the training centers, you definitely find that there are more students with special needs, and so their parents actually spend the money to send them to a training center at VIP courses. But I will also say I am very, very dyslexic personally. And I made a video about being a dyslexic English teacher, and I see dyslexia in my class all the time. And but because I am dyslexic myself and I went to school, learned how to do this, I can identify those students and give them the special attention, some tricks to help them move along. So, but other than that, I don't think anything is really identified.
Now, while I know Bunny is definitely not disabled, she told me that, and you may want to explain this, Bunny, when you were in class, they said you had to be sitting for the front of the class because of you were a little shorter than the rest of them. How was your experience with that?
So most likely I'll be arranged to the front, but actually I really want to sit at the back because you never get a chance. So I want to do that. But I guess I have one aspect. So treatment, that's we have the cookery class when I was in junior school that we really have to cook, but then I'm not tall enough to actually cook normally because I'm a bit shorter, the counter is not on my height. So the school specially arranged a stool for me, that like 2 stools, I would say. One is actually on the cooking counters, one is actually on the regular kitchen counter for chopping. So every time when I attend the classes, I have to take the stool from stool out, so I can stand on the stool and cook as other classmates do. That is the only special treatment that the school provide me.
Now, how did that make you feel when you were in there? Because you had to have the stool. Did you feel any different, or?
No, I was really absolutely expect. You know, I was only 11-year-old. I was like junior school, and I was so embarrassed because they will not start cooking at the first few class. It's more like theory. So the cooking class started from the middle of the semester. So I have been so embarrassed in a couple of the weeks. I'm thinking like, oh my god, how can I cook? I don't want to raise my hand and say I cannot cook, something like that. But it was really a very warm surprise. A good surprise that, and when in the first cooking class, the teacher asked me to a special room. It's more like a back door, like special room, and then told me that, oh, the school had already prepared 2 stools for me. The only thing I had to do is every time I come a little bit earlier and then took the stool out and get ready before attending the class, and that's the only thing I have to do. It was really, really, really cool. You know, it's not just cool. It's about, you know, how my embarrassment for a couple of weeks have been all gone now, all of a sudden, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. A couple of the questions here I want to get to. What's the most commonly asked question that Chinese students ask about the English language? What do you think, Austin?
Yeah. Okay. So the most common question I get is, it's one, how can I improve my English really, really quickly? And the other one is, you know, I spend so much time memorizing words and reciting words, but I can't remember them. How can I
100%.
recite better? How can I remember words better?
Yes,
those are the
100%.
two I get most often. We can get into the answers for those later, but yeah, Paul, what are yours?
Exactly, that is, how do I remember the words? You know, we spend so much time in vocabulary, but I learn it one day and then I forget it and I can never retain the information. That seems to be the biggest one.
Yeah.
For me, it's always about the articles, what we like to call bridge words for younger guys. You know, using your D's, A's, ands. You know,
that
and if
prepositions,
I can use that,
yeah,
I'm a happy guy. So, moving along here, Shuzo says, let's see, where do you folks see the ESL market going? What was that question? So
that's from my friend Tyler. Yeah,
there we go.
Tyler's another. He's an English teacher here as well. He works at a middle school, and he's a very, very good English teacher. I've worked with him in the past. If Tyler, I'm going to give you a shout out. There's a video on my channel where we actually went hiking. It's called Hiking with Rojo in Tyler's World, and we went hiking a local mountain together, and we talked about this very topic, about where the ESL market is going. Yeah, so we spent a good, couple of hours chatting about it. And we both tend to agree that, yeah, it's been rough over the last year for obvious reasons, but there's still a huge demand for it all throughout Asia. And I think it's got nowhere to go but up. There will be some tweaks to the market itself, but I think I'm very bullish on it.
There we go.
I think the market will professionalize, but there will be I think the demand will continue for a little while. It's an interesting time because China's becoming more assertive on the world stage, and it's no longer like everything Western is automatically amazing. There's sort of a resurgence in nativism and nationalism and stuff. So it's sort of kind of going down and going up and things. But yeah, I think after Rona is all said and done, because there's already a certain professionalization happening. Like you see more and more job posts requiring TEFL or TESOL certificates, or asking for CELTAs, asking for various credentials. It's no longer just show up as a white dude in China
question on that
used
too.
to be. So it's a good thing.
Any of you guys teach standardized tests like IELTS, TOEFL, or SAT English? What do you think of these tests? So, Bunny, did you have to take the TOEFL or IELTS or SAT?
I took the IELTS, which is a must-do requirement for me to graduate my university. So if I don't take the IELTS test or I don't pass the IELTS test, I cannot graduate.
Okay. She's breaking a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Paul. So with us, Paul looks like he's locked up. So can't tell if Paul's locked up or not. Paul's giving us an interesting smirk. So, Bunny, are we having some more internet kerfuffles? Might be. So, yeah, it seems to be the night for internet kerfuffles. So,
I think it's a StreamYard issue. I have so many problems with StreamYard. It's garbage. I think it's StreamYard more than anything else.
I think so too. And then Paul just disappeared on us. So, I'm not sure what happened there. So
I'm gonna get closer to the window.
Yeah, I think StreamYard is just having a fun. Teen boys like to ask foreign girls are pretty. Haha. There we go. So that happens definitely. Bunny's back. Paul seems to have disappeared. So it happens. Well, as much as I hate to say it, guys, with StreamYard going and we are fastly coming up at the end of the hour here, we may want to just call it while we're ahead. So my apologies to the audience.
Everything's on track now. Everything's on track now. everything's cleared up. Yeah, I think we're okay now. Yeah.
So,
it sounds great now.
Paul's back. Bunny disappeared.
Yeah, we got it. We got it.
Okay. We're back, baby.
Yeah, just wait 1 minute. Everything will be good.
Nice.
Do the robot, yeah. Well, we're talking about these tests. I think the tests are part of our lives. They're not going to go anywhere, and it's a huge part of the private ESL industry is teaching these tests. You have your regular students that go to training centers to better their English for various reasons, and then there's a whole separate industry based around IELTS and TOEFL and SATs. And I find that most IELTS teachers are people who have passed the IELTS test themselves. And that makes sense to me. But I know many people who are IELTS examiners. And so I have an interesting look on that side of the world too. And if you're an IELTS examiner, man, I don't know, Austin, I know when you did the CELTA, they probably mentioned it. I'm very familiar with how that goes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I also was an IELTS examiner, although I deal much less with IELTS and I deal much less with IELTS and TOEFL these days, as we mainly focus on just the material. You know, they handle that later on when they get up to high school. But the middle school guys, I'm mainly focused on the basics with them. You know, getting everything so they can use these skills in their other fields of study. You know, getting their essay skills polished up real good. Yes. MLA format. It's a lifestyle, and so it's always a challenge there. But the individual test, they're not so much concerned about. I mean, you get some of them. I have one girl, her dad has already bought her an apartment near Cambridge in the UK, and she's in 7th grade. And so
it's more common than people realize. It's very, very common.
It really is. It really is. But I had a couple other topics I wanted to get to, but guys, you know what else? Try to keep this to an hour or so, and with the internet kind of coming in tides, there's no telling when it's going to go out on us. So I want to see if we can break this up. Final thoughts, Bunny, break us down with some final thoughts on this topic.
So here's the thing, right? I mean, to me, I sort of have teaching experience, but what I will be still is, I'm really glad, and I'm really if at the time can go back, I really wish like Paul and Austin could be my teacher when I was small.
That's
so sweet.
But I cannot change the time, so that is really like because when I was a kid, and at the time of education is more like just delivering what the books told you. We'll never consider whether you really like interest in the topic. rather like you really earn something or learn something, because more are like exam different. I guess time change plus that like Paul and Austin I grow up in different culture, so the teaching to them is different. It's more like a learning. So that is something I really thinking, like if the time can go back, I wish they were my teacher. I'm not saying my teacher were bad, but just like different kind of way of teaching, and that is what I would hope that I can have more.
Yeah, there we go. You know, she didn't say she wanted me to be her teacher.
I noticed that. I was going to say it, man.
Of course, if I was her teacher, that would make our relationship super illegal, right? So that's probably why she didn't say that, right? Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Break down. Paul, give us some final thoughts on the topic. I also want to hear what's happening in the future on your channel, my friend.
I am a proud English teacher. I think the ESL industry, not so much in China, but in general, around the world, has kind of got a bad rep over the last couple of years, or last couple of decades, really. But just like Austin said, it is professionalizing very, very quickly, and especially here in China. And those of us who have been here a while and doing this and love what we do, we see the good, the bad, the ugly. They come and they go. But we really love what we do. We're not getting rich doing this. It is a lifestyle choice more than it is a money-making endeavor. And so we're all very passionate about what we do. Of course, on my channel, I just released my latest China Randoms volume where I talked about the pool party in Dongguan. And many people have been asking me about that, so you can check that out. And of course, because it is the Golden Week, I just got back from a big road trip, so I got some hiking videos coming up soon.
Nice. All right. Austin, I want to hear your final thoughts on the topic, and of course, what's coming out in the near future on your channel.
Final thoughts, I would say, if anybody's interested in teaching English at all, or especially if they're thinking about coming to China, I would say, especially in China, if you're looking for a teaching job, you can afford to be picky, especially if you've got those qualifications. You don't need to take the first job that gets offered to you. And, get yourself a CELTA, get yourself some kind of TESOL with a face-to-face component. Don't do this online stuff. The face-to-face classes will give you so much more information. If you want to read something, Learning Teaching is a great book. Learning Teaching is good. Look up the communicative method. That's really the way to go. The communicative
Kagan strategies, flip classes, things like that, right?
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. And I would say that. And as far as what's coming out on my channel in the near future, I don't have any plans. I was going to do a live stream this morning as sort of a preamble into this topic. I was going to do a stream about me planning a lesson and just talking you through my process. I may do that tomorrow morning. So apart from that stream, I don't have any plans.
There we go.
Bad answer.
All right. Well, final thoughts on the topic. I mean, one thing, and I think it kind of goes without saying, but it doesn't get said enough. If you want to be teaching, you should generally like kids. If you don't like kids, you shouldn't be doing it, because you got a lot of hands-on time. I always like to say teaching is, 50% out of the book and 50% pulling it out of your backside. You just kind of have to go with what happens in each individual class. I generally like kids. Well, most of them. Like anything else, you have some that challenge you, and make you into a better person, hopefully. But yeah, so I generally enjoy what I do. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the results of that. And every year, I have to say that I enjoy it just a little bit more. As far as what's coming out of my channel in the near future, I got a stop action video. I've been stop motion. I know there's what's the thing? I just have one. I'm talking about some camera stuff, and I did the whole stop action. Took me forever just moving each individual lens around and snapping it from the top view. So that was a lot of fun. So it should be something interesting coming out this week. beyond that, I want to thank everybody for being on my panel, guys. If you were not already and you're watching this live stream, go out, subscribe to these guys. They definitely have good stuff coming out. And as always, guys, always carry your carrot and sardines.
Smash that like button.
You never know when you'll need it. Yes, definitely smash that like button, please. It helps the algorithm, helps all of us, and therefore YouTube may be just a little bit more magnanimous and show you our stuff on a more frequent video, more frequent time. Yeah, there we go. Beyond that, guys, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, the panel. We will see you guys next week right here on the Snark Lounge. Bye-bye.
Bye.